What is going on, everybody? I hope and pray that y'all are all doing phenomenally well. I'm super excited because we don't always get guests on. And then this time today, I have a very special guest, a phenomenal guest, Miss Martine Richardson. What is going on? How are you?
I am doing well. I am happy to be here. I'm hoping to pour all the value today. You might have to shut me up because I get in my mode and I can't stop talking.
Well, let's go. That's all right. Well, first off, thank you so much for being generous with your time and being here and sharing your experience, your wisdom, your knowledge with not just myself, with the community too. So I'm super excited, y'all, because me and Miss Martine are in a mastermind together, and she's a veteran in the game. She's an OG, right? I only been doing real estate since 2019. So you got some years over me, and I'm super excited to hear.
Just a couple.
I'm excited to hear. How did you get started?
So I love to share this story because I feel like, not always, I heard your story, so maybe your story might be different, but I always feel like something happens in people's lives and that shifts gears to make them want to do something different. So all my life, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I went to college, I got the degree, I got the job after college. I had been working up like through high school, through college, thinking that once I get this degree, this is the dream job. This is the American dream. I was making the most amount of money that I have ever made. Wow. So my lifestyle showed that. I had a nice car, had a nice apartment. I was living in the DC area at the time, so it's very expensive to live there. So I was keeping up with the folks that I graduated with, right? And I had a nice work-life balance. And from the outside, it looked like my life was made. But if I'm honest, I was unfulfilled. Like, I was not passionate about the work. And I'm not sure if anybody's listening has been there before, but you feel like you want more. You feel like, you want to build something for your family. If I'm going to work extremely hard, I want it to be for my family, for the next generations to come. I want to be passionate about what you're doing. You just want to do more. Like, it's just not enough. It's a hole inside of you. It's like, man, this is it. This is what I got to look forward to for the next till I'm 65. Right. So I started hanging out with other young professionals that they had similar goals. Like, they wanted to build wealth. They wanted to invest in, whatever, businesses, real estate, whatever. And we would pass different resources. So someone passed me a book and it talked about wholesaling. And I had never heard of this concept before. I'm like, wait a second, you can take a contract and sell the contract. I've never heard of this before. Right. And the book really detailed how to do it. But if I'm honest, I was comfortable. So I was like, I'll get to it later. Yeah. I'll do it later. But I think the lack of passion in my job showed in my work. Well, I know because I ended up getting fired. Okay. And when I got fired, I just remember thinking like, usually you get fired and you're like, oh my God. And I mean, I'm hoping people haven't gotten fired, but if you have, you think, oh my God, like, how am I going to pay for all of this stuff? I got people depending on me, all of that good stuff. Well, fortunately for me, I didn't have anybody depending on me. I didn't have a family at the time. And, but the first thing I thought about was, oh my God, how am I pay for this car? Because that was the income and I don't have it no more. And eventually that car ended up getting repossessed. And that was the trigger for me to get started because the next day I took real estate seriously. That book told me everything that I needed to do prior to me even getting to that point. But I was comfortable, so I didn't do anything. And I actually ended up getting my first rental property because that's what I focus on now, rental properties. I got my first rental property by accident. And when I started by accident, I used to go in the house and ask everybody, hey, you want a cash offer or do you want payments? And everybody said, cash offer. You think in your head, nobody's going to take the payments. Why would you even ask this question? But the mentor that told me about that, he was way further along than me. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I would ask everybody. I was like, all they can say is no. And I got someone that said he'd take the payments. And I said, oh my God, you take the payment. Like in my head, I'm like, you take the payments. Nobody take the payments. I gotta figure it out. Like I'm having internal conflict here.
Yeah.
And but I figured it out. I told him I would review it. And that completely changed the trajectory of things for me. Yeah. When I started getting those rent payments every single month from work I did a long time ago, it made me wake up and say, this is why I got into real estate. Yeah. From a very young age, I always wanted freedom. I wanted money freedom. I wanted time freedom. My mom, she had a lot of time, but she didn't have a lot of money. And I knew that the family that I wanted to create, that I wanted to be there. I didn't want to have to ask a boss, can I get the day off so I can go spend it with my baby and stuff like that. So that was the freedom. And that's what really triggered everything for me. Yeah. And for people that are listening to this, you can do the same thing. Like I started not knowing, and the journey was revealed as I continue to go on that journey. And that's what brought me here today. And now I teach other people how to do it too.
I love it. You passed over like so many golden nuggets so fast. It's so funny. One thing that stood out to me is that, and I'm a man of faith. I'm a praying man. Mm-hmm. And one thing that really stood out is like sometimes that comfort can be a cage for us, right? Like I think about the time that you were at with your job that you didn't love it, you weren't passionate about it, but yet you were almost, it's kind of like the golden handcuffs. I think that's what they call it, right? It's like, I got some living expenses over here I need to take care of. So I don't want to quit this, but then God says, hold on, right? You take that tree a little bit, and then he puts you in a position to where, no, this is what you're going to be doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, what would have happened? Right? Of course, you're always playing devil advocate, right? Like, what would have happened if I would have never gotten fired?
Yeah, because I like to think of, I really like Ayanna Van Zandt, and I don't know if anybody here listens to her, but I feel like the things that she says, she really speaks to me. Yeah. And I recall her having a quote that there's nowhere to fall when you're on the floor. So I was on the floor. So what was I afraid of? I'm going to fall on the floor again? Like before, I felt like I had so much to lose. At that point, I thought to myself, like, I did not do all of this, do everything right, get the job, get the degrees. I did not do all of that to be a failure, to be a loser. So it just made me get out of my comfort zone. I didn't care if I looked stupid, if I didn't know everything. I just did it because I needed the result.
Yeah. And it's so funny too, because for you to be super successful, educated, working, I have this theory. Don't laugh at me. I have this theory. I think that the higher the education, the harder it is for people, right? I think they overanalyze, they over it. But it sounds like that was not the case for you. Like you just went in.
Well, it was at first. But eventually got to a point where I was like, it's time to sink or swim. I need to make this happen. I want to build something for myself and my family. I want us to be able to live a different life than I lived. So you just get to a point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you need to make something happen. So you have to make changes.
And it sounds like too, that it wasn't just about you, right? Like you're thinking long term, you're thinking wealth building, you're thinking from the future, like, hey, right, this success technically isn't for me, right? And I even share with people, hey, your success is somebody else's miracle. Like, you have a daughter now, you have a husband, like that wealth that you're building, that you started building before they even came in the picture. That's really long-term thinking. And I think that people should realize, like, your success really is somebody else's miracle. Like the stepping stone that you're building and the platform that you're building for your family is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it just put us in a position to do things that my husband and I, we never did as kids. Like, for instance, my daughter's 3. And I mean, we've already moved into our dream house because I was already doing this. And like now we take vacations once a quarter, like to the point that we got in the car after vacation. My daughter's like, oh, mommy and daddy, I miss vacation. I'm like, girl, you miss You just
For
left.
sure.
But it's like we get to live a life on our own terms. It's not we have to do certain things. It's we get to do, we want to do.
Come
And
on.
it's just a freeing feeling.
Yeah, right. You're having choices, right? It gives you options. I truly believe some of the wealthiest people in the world has the most options. Is that not what it's about, right? Like now you get to choose and you get to say, hey, I don't have to go and file a PTO request. I don't know, is that a thing where y'all are? Like
Yes.
that was
Yes.
a thing for us. Like we used to have to file a PTO request, a paid time off to go to one of my daughter's events that it may or may not get approved based on how the manager is feeling at the time, right?
Right,
And
right.
so now you have the choices to live where you want to live, travel where you want to travel, spend the time that you want to spend with the people that you care about the most.
Right.
So, how does somebody? Because I actually coach and work with a lot of women too. I think that a lot of women. I don't know if this is a good thing to say. I don't know.
Say it.
You know, sometimes I try to be politically correct. I don't know if they just overthink a lot more. Like I didn't really suffer from overthinking. Like in my mind, because I've always worked a backbreaking job, like always manual labor. So for me, it was like, you mean to tell me I can make money picking up a phone? I'll do that all day. Hello?
Right.
Right. How can we get our members and our listeners like from overthinking to actually taking the action?
I think what it really boils down to is how bad do you want it? If you're just like dabbling your toes in it, I think I want to do that, then maybe you're not willing to take those actions. But if you have decided, look, I'm buying my first or my next rental property, because I hear a lot of times people have trouble scaling. Like they'll have one and it's a little bit difficult to get the next one and the next one and the next one. But if you decide that I'm getting my first or my next rental property this year, that's when you're going to start taking the action. So like, I'll just give you an example. It's a guy that's in my community. And I remember when he first got started that he used to always think he believed maybe 75% of the things I said, but not all. Some stuff he would be like, oh, that's the Martine effect, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can get that because you're Martine. And
Yeah.
just to let people know, like, I help people buy rental properties using little to none of their own money. So you can build your rental portfolio. You're not putting 20% down. You don't have that constraint that, oh man, I don't have the 20% to go buy the next one. So we're taking that off the table. One thing I used to always preach is, look, you don't have to bring any money down if you structure this deal correctly. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Martine effect, for sure.
Yeah.
And so he was buying it regular. He would put $10,000 down. And like he was kind of doing it sneaky because he didn't tell me.
Yeah, we want to tell you that.
Yeah, because if he would have told me, I would have been like, why are you putting $10,000 down? But
that
anyway,
adds up real quick, doesn't it?
So he was putting the money down and he was telling me that because he was on an accelerated track. He kept buying properties. He bought his first property in 2 months. And he would just keep rolling the funds over, right, to the next property, to the next property. And then eventually, one other thing I was pushing him because I noticed his potential and what his goals were. I was pushing him to buy a portfolio of houses. And he's like, well, I don't know about this, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, he was looking at a portfolio, and I think he's actually closing sometime this week. But he's looking at this portfolio. These houses are worth altogether $1.2 million. This is his first deal where he has not put any of his own money down.
Come on.
And what I'm telling you guys this because it came with a decision before he decided that was just for Martine. Like only Martine can get that. Nobody's willing to lend to me like that because, I'm new, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the lies are that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
And then he decided, you know what? I'm going to give her shot a try. And then he did it and he executed. And now he added like $4,000 a month in cash flow in his pocket.
That's
And he
insane.
spent no money. He spent none
Yeah.
of his own money. He knew how to structure the deals. So I don't take people making a decision lightly. Like when I got in, it took me forever to get my first deal. And it wasn't until I decided, I kept hearing stories about they were making money in real estate and then this person was making money in real estate. And I'm like, wait a second, I'm hearing like, 50, 100 people telling me that they're making money in real estate. It's no way everybody's lying. Like,
Yeah.
it's just no way.
Yeah.
So I decided that I was going to keep doing it until it started working for me. And then once you get that first deal, that's when it oh my goodness, you're like, oh my God, it works. I remember because I started with wholesaling. So I remember when I got my first 10K deal, and that was the most amount of money I saw in one time aside from student refund,
Yeah.
ever, right? So I remember going into work because I ended up getting another job and thinking to myself, if somebody say something like they come in correct to me today, I might just walk up out of here.
Yeah.
I was walking a little bit different that day.
Yeah, right.
I figured it out. I know how to make money. So once you get that belief shift, that's when you can start, doing deal after deal after deal after deal. But I just noticed that first one is typically the hardest because you don't truly believe fully yet. Because, maybe Clifford can do it because he's hard working. He's used to back-breaking jobs. I'm not. Yeah. So he can do it because he's going to do all this extra stuff. But once you do it for yourself, you unlock that belief, and then that's when you get a deal after deal after deal. It's a little addictive.
So, it is. It really is. Deals are addictive. I would agree with that. And so, y'all, if you're listening, what she's saying is, number one, you have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Remember, y'all, nothing changes if nothing changes. Mm-hmm. You need to say, hey, I am going to be a real estate investor. I am going to buy my first rental property by the end of this year. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that really stood out to me was sometimes you have to forget what you've been taught so that you can learn something new, right? That member that she was working with, one of her members, right? He was doing it his way, throwing that money down. But when he said, you know what, I'm actually going to listen to my coach and follow her blueprint. And when he did, it sounds like he got his biggest deal with his least money out of pocket, with no money out of pocket.
No money out of his pocket.
So don't reinvent the wheel, y'all. Follow the blueprint. Follow the blueprint. I love it. I think too that, oh, that's so good. I got so many things. I think that folks need to focus more so on rentals because though we do wholesaling, though we do flips, those are active investment properties or active investing, right? I don't get another paycheck unless I close another deal.
Right.
Rental is wealth building, right? Do you focus more on appreciation or cash flow? Or
both? Both. I do not believe in that strategy of just cash flow and no appreciation. No, we're going to get these bad boys to work for us. So one thing I really like about rentals, and the reason why I focus on them now, is because now I'm allowing the asset to do the work. Before, I was doing the work. Wholesaling and stuff, it makes you successful as long as you're working. But when you stop working, there's no more check. So I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. This sounded like a little, too much time. Yeah. But with rentals, what I noticed is that the people that are super successful in real estate investing, you go to these conferences, right? And you see the people on the stage. Most of them, they either have a rental portfolio or they started with a rental portfolio because that allowed them to be able to do other things. They had that foundation. They had that cushion. They knew they were going to get paid from this, whether they went to work or if they didn't. Now, I done started answering your question, and now I forgot what your question was. So redirect me on what I'm answering.
No, it was just focusing on really cash flow or appreciation. Because for me, actually, I do focus more on appreciation versus cash flow. As long as I'm in the green, I'm happy. I don't care.
Right.
Because although I do a lot of active investing, a lot of wholesaling, right? That's what I live on, right? So for me, I'm more so looking at the appreciation. I was just curious from an OG's perspective, which one did you kind of lean more towards, or like you mentioned, both? It sounds like.
Yeah, it is both, but I want people to be strategic about it as well, because a lot of people, they'll say, oh, first you need to pick a market that you want to be in, right? I'm not really a big fan of, oh, I have one, rental in Richmond and one in Washington, D.C., and then I got one in New York and I got one in tech, like all these different places. I'm not really a fan. If you can't have a group of rentals in that area, I would advise you to just pick one area that will work really well. And one thing that I've noticed is that to find usually the appreciating markets, it's a couple of things that you look at. One, you want to make sure those rents are higher than what those mortgages are going to be. That's one thing, right? Like, and I mean, you can find that in a market that's not appreciating. What's really the secret sauce? And y'all write this down.
I'm taking notes.
If you can find a market that has been distressed for some time, and now you notice that jobs are coming to that market. You notice that people are flocking to that market. Hospital, universities, things like that are coming to that market. You're going to see a shift in that market. And the shift is at appreciating. It's a market that's not too far from here. It's about 30 minutes away from Richmond. And I remember, because I've been doing this a while, I remember when people were begging you to buy their house over there. Like, please, I'll pay you to buy my house. Like, that's how bad it was over there. And like at one point, it was booming. They had a lot of manufacturing, but all of that left.
Yeah.
So like, it was hard to use my favorite strategy there because the houses weren't even worth enough for you to even get like a long-term mortgage on it. The banks are like, these aren't even worth it. Like, we're not making any money. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I saw in front of my eyes this market shift. This market appreciate rapidly, more than 3%. And it was because they started making an emphasis on jobs coming there. And that made it so people wanted to come back. Now, the city, I mean, from an outsider looking in, if you were to come there, you'd be like, man, this city's pretty run down. But it is, you see construction on every block. Yeah. You see people buying and selling, renting. The rents are going up. Like I have a property I'm currently working on. It's a duplex. And this duplex, it's I think the rent for each side when I first bought it was about $1,900. I checked back maybe like 2 months later. It went up $400 a month. I said, what? In 2 months? That's insane. Yeah. Right? So if you can find these pockets, these markets where, they're really making a push to try to make them grow, you can see exponential appreciation. Now, that market, it always cash flowed because the houses were so dirt cheap. Your mortgage would be very low, but it just was difficult to put it into a long-term product because the people that were doing those types of loans, they're like, the houses aren't even worth enough for us to put a mortgage on it. Yeah. So if you can find this, what I find is like the true secret sauce. If you can find an area where a lot of jobs are coming, that area is going to appreciate more than 3% a year. You're going to be able to really see a return on that asset doing the work for you. I mean, to the point that like, I remember it was a property I bought there and it took me maybe about 6 months or so to finish it up because I fixed it up or my crew fixed it up and we got somebody to rent it. From that point of me buying it to it being fixed up, the property went up $30,000. 6 months. Nice. And I was like, oh, I'm liking these numbers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, if you can really find those pockets where you see a lot of jobs coming, you can make those numbers work for rentals. Because like on a cash flow perspective, just to give people something tangible, usually I try to look for the properties at the price range or between, the values are 200 to 300K once it's fixed up. Because typically if you have a rental market where the rents are strong, jobs are coming, you're going to be able to cash flow pretty nicely off of that, even with the high interest rates right now.
I like it. And y'all, I want y'all to know, I sincerely wrote that down. It's funny, like I put in here in parentheses, pay attention to where jobs are coming, right? It makes me think about like there's so many little cities here on the outskirts, excuse me, I'm getting tongue twisted, of Dallas that are growing, right? They're putting all these massive developments out here and jobs and companies that are moving out here. Like, man, I need to be paying attention to those things, right? So y'all should be doing, obviously.
I want to share something too, because like I saw that happen in Richmond too. Like it was one area of Richmond that, like, if you were there in the 80s or 90s, like it was full of crackheads. It was really like it was a bad area.
It was bad.
And then they turned it around, and it really like launched my real estate career, because I was like getting deals left and right over there. Right now, these houses over there are worth $500,000.
Yeah.
And I remember like one of the cheapest houses that I had bought over there was maybe about $5,500. And I wholesaled it. I said, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
I knew what I know now.
For sure.
I would have kept that, but I did. When I got my accidental rental property, I was able to keep something. And I remember I got that property for $35,000. That house right there is worth $250,000 today. And that is why owning rentals is so important, because have I done anything to make it worth $250,000? No.
Time.
The asset did it. The time did it. And I haven't been doing this that long. I've been doing it for like 12 years, but that's not that long.
No.
So in that time frame, to see that house, the value went up so much, it's just having the right strategy, knowing the places that you need to go, and just waiting. Let the asset do the work. You did this work one time, you get paid forever. I love it.
That's awesome. So I want to, and I know that we're going long here, but I do want to ask you maybe like 3 tactical tips that we can share with the community.
Okay.
So number 1, you said deals. How are you finding your deals first and foremost?
So you mentioned this one time before, and it's the exact same, like it resonated with me, when you said it. Relationships. I do no marketing, 0. I used to market, not anymore. So what did I do to get to a point where I didn't need to market anymore? So you have to form really, really, really good relationships with people. And I don't know if anybody's ever read this book before, but this is my business Bible. It's called The 7 Levels of Communication. It's by Michael J. Mayer. And it's about a real estate agent that his business sucked. And he was thinking about quitting. He used to be an accountant. He wasn't making any money. It's like the market's dried up. It's too much competition. All the excuses people make. And that's how he was feeling. And he completely shifted his life around from coaching. But he started, what they really focused on was relationships. And what I've done and what I teach people is that the people that are coming into contact with what you're looking for, you need to develop a really, really good relationship with them. So we have this communication pyramid. It's in the book. On the top of it is the influential level. And how do you get on the influential level? You have one-on-one meetings with people. So what I like to do, and I did this experiment with my friends some years ago, we started asking like big name people to go to lunch with us, right? Just expecting them to say no. Like we were just asking, I think one time we told her daughter, we're going to lunch with the mayor. Her daughter's like, why not the president? But anyway, we just started asking people that were doing really well in real estate to go to lunch with us. Right. And we started going to lunch, and we led with value. We didn't say, hey, let me pick your brain. We didn't say, oh, I'm just trying to soak up all your information. We led with, I want to learn more about what you're doing to see how I can add value to you. Awesome. And what we noticed is that when we sat down with people, had lunch, had coffee, whatever it may be, our relationships skyrocketed. Like we were one of their favorite people now. And we're like, all we did was go to lunch and try to add value. So I've just noticed that when you have those one-on-one meetings and maybe, you get the endorphins from eating, people feeling good, everybody likes to eat.
Yeah. No, I do.
You really strengthen those relationships. So one, you want to find somebody that is what I call a good person. And what I define as a good person is they're not really a taker. They're like people that they want to help you, right? If they come across what you're looking for, they'll send it your way. So you want to find people like that probably already know you. And then you want to really strengthen the relationship. So when they come across what you're looking for, you're their number one person to go to. And sometimes, like a lot of the times, these people, you may talk to your community. And if you're just starting, you're like, well, I don't know anybody that's coming across the properties. You could possibly network through them. Maybe they know someone that comes across it. It could be a realtor. It could be a wholesaler. I love working with wholesalers, but eventually my goal for my community and what I've built for myself is that we have outreach throughout the community. It doesn't necessarily have to be a wholesaler or a realtor, even though I'll gladly take the deals. But I've gotten some of my best deals from first responders. I've gotten some of my best deals from mortgage brokers, from insurance agents, just from people that aren't necessarily in the business, but they're close. Postal workers.
Absolutely. That's a nugget.
I got one from my cousin. She was like, this house been sitting here vacant all this time. You need to see if they want to sell it. So I just really focus on strengthening those relationships with people. So when they run across what I'm looking for, they know I'm the girl to get the job done. Right. And it makes it so I have no competition. It makes it so that I have deals coming to me all the time. And it's just so worth it. Like a lot of people might say, I don't have time for that. I think you don't have time not to do it.
Exactly. So you need it. Number one, y'all, you need to be networking and screaming to the mountaintops what you do. It sounds like everybody in her community knows that she is a real estate investor, from the post office to the fireman to the police officer to the nurse to the school teacher.
That's right.
Everybody knows what she's doing. Second question for tactical tips. What type of rental should I be buying, right? Should I be buying a single family house? Should I be buying townhomes, condos? And should I be doing, I guess it's a kind of two-part question.
Right.
Short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, what is it? Pad split, traditional, rent a bedroom, rent a corner. There's all kind of stuff nowadays.
Right.
What you doing?
Well, I always recommend that you start with a single family home and you do it exactly the way I'm telling you to do it. And the reason I say that is because, and I can talk about exactly what that looks like too, to add some value to your people. But the reason I say that is because I need you to do it my way first, so I can show you it's possible for you. And then once you do it my way first, if you're like, Martine, I hate single family, like I'm not making enough cash flow from just one property, then you can venture off to different things. I'm not really a condo or a townhouse person, only because they don't appreciate enough for me. Most of, at least the ones in this area, they don't really appreciate that much. Those single family houses are like hotcakes. Like everybody loves them. And then I mentioned a duplex, stuff like that. I like to focus on those because it would be, if I wanted to sell it, which I don't, but if I wanted to sell it, those are relatively easy to sell.
Now, are these traditional, just a traditional rental?
Yeah, these are traditional. Oh, yeah, you did ask me that question. Year-long rentals. You should start with year-long rentals because you need to perfect your craft. I remember when the Airbnb wave came in. I'm feeling real old right now, but I remember when the Airbnb wave was like, oh my God, you can get triple, quadruple your rent if you have Airbnbs. And then I remember when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And all travel stopped. And guess what? Everybody that had those Airbnbs, their rent was gone.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I have some midterm rentals, which are 30 days or more stay. But for me, I had a lot of year-long rentals. So even if people couldn't go to work or they couldn't pay their rent, they had programs in place to help them pay their rent. And guess what? If you become the expert of making sure that people can stay in your properties, they can pay their rent. I see you're going through a difficult time right now. Here are a list of organizations that'll be able to help you. Reach out to them so that you can be able to pay your rent and stay up in this place. They weren't offering that for Airbnb.
No.
Airbnb is nice once you already have some, in my opinion, because I'm very risk averse. Like, I love
it. Man, let's. I'm sorry. I can't stand short-term rentals.
I love like investing, but I love to be cautious. I love to look at worst case scenario, because if there is an upside, I'm actually making more money than I thought I was going to make, not making less. So you always should start with year-long rentals, because that's the consistent income. People need a place to stay. Then you can kind of venture out to doing midterm Airbnb, whatever you want to do, right? But my bread and butter has always been long-term, year-long rentals.
Because that's what works. I agree 1,000%. I think that too many people are chasing shiny object syndromes with your short-term rentals, your pad splits, and all that stuff. Y'all keep it traditional. Keep it classic. Keep what works. Quit chasing every shiny object. Okay. And then last question for you, and I'm sorry. How do we fund these? Right? You're telling me by the end of the year. You told me to look for jobs for a place that's where jobs are growing in an appreciating area. You told me to stick to a traditional rental, a single family house. Okay, but now I need to fund it. I need to buy it. How do I do that?
So I love my space I operate in is private capital. So as long as you know how to structure your deals the way that they need to be structured, you can use someone else's funds to buy that property. So you're coming in with essentially a cash offer, because you're using people's retirement accounts. You're using whatever excess funds they have. And I mean, people that are listening to this, they may be thinking, I don't know anybody with any excess funds, girl. What are you talking about? So I'm glad you asked the question. One thing that we like to focus on is building those relationships first, because if I know I have the money, then I feel a lot more confident when I'm making these offers. I feel a lot more confident when I'm structuring these deals, because I know that I have people that can do it. And as you grow, and like I've had some people that kind of started off like this because they had a pretty strong network, you can teach people how to lend to you. And because you're actually offering them an opportunity that they wouldn't have otherwise. You're giving them a solid return on something that's worth more than the money. So just to give you guys a little bit of, know-how, when we are buying properties, we never, ever go over 70% of what the house is worth.
Nice.
So if I'm putting somebody's money on there, I'm never going to put more than 70% of their money on there. So if I have an asset, just for easy numbers, that's worth $100K, you're putting $70,000 on a house that's worth $100K. You're in a pretty good spot, because one, I'm giving you a good return. If I don't do what I say I'm going to do, I always like to look at worst case scenario. If I don't do what I say I'm going to do, you have to foreclose on that property. You actually would make more money doing that. So you're putting people in a safe position. And then also, like, just from the investor standpoint, your reputation is everything. So you never want to get to a point where you're not doing what you say you're going to do. So you want to give people a good experience. They made so much money, so they want to do the next deal and the next deal. And one thing I want to point out as well, because people, they'll say, well, if you're using people's money and you're keeping the property, how are you going to give them their money back? I'm so glad you asked. So we like to, once we stabilize these properties, so we put work into them, we put a tenant in there, we'll refinance it into a 30-year fixed mortgage. And a lot of people will think, oh my God, well, how many can you do that? What about your debt to income, all of that stuff? For investment properties, if you choose the right product, that does not matter. Yeah. You have to make sure that the asset can support itself. The asset can support that mortgage. And when you refinance it, you're actually getting your private lender their money back. So you can use that money over and over and over and over again. And what I really like about this strategy is, one, it's relationship based. Everything here is relationship based. Nobody's going to just give you their money. They don't know you. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Right. And because it's relationship based, your people work with you. Like, you try to give them the best return that you can, but if you get a deal, it's a little tight, maybe you can't give them that high of a return. A lot of times they want to still do the deal because they love that their money is making more money than it would have made in whatever they had it in. So that's how we typically buy. It makes it so that we can close really fast, 2 weeks, and just keep growing it from there.
I love it. I love it. Well, there it is, y'all. I don't think it could get more simpler than that. She's laid the blueprint. Thank you so much for being generous with your time and chatting with me in the community here. If people want to connect with you, get coaching from you, or how do we get into your world? What's the best way to reach you?
So if you're still in the learning phase, like, I just need to know more information, I want to just be a part of a community, I want to invite you to join my free group. It's called The Freedom Inc. and it's on Facebook. And I can send you a link and you can put it in your show notes or wherever it would go, so they can click that. Now, for the people that want to buy their first or next rental property within the next 12 months, so you're serious, you're committed, you want to do it. I'm not saying that you have to know how to do it, but you want to do it. You've decided. Yeah. I want to encourage you to apply for a strategy session. And with these strategy sessions, we look into your scenario. We look into what you have going on, and I'll see how we can get you to the next step of buying that rental property. Now, to apply for a strategy session, go to strategy.thefreedominc.com. And you can apply for your strategy session. If your application looks good, we'll reach out and we'll have the private strategy session with you.
I love it. Are you able to send me those links and I'll put them in the description below?
Of course. I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to speak with your people. Hopefully this was moving and inspiring for you to take some action. You need to decide if you want your life to change. If you don't decide, your life's not going to change.
Nothing's going to change. Awesome. Well, have a blessed one, y'all. I pray this was powerful for everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.